Welcome guys, Daniel Bryan's wife Brie threatens to leave him if he leaves AEW as she has been promised a spot back if he doesn't leave. Watch till the end to find out if Bryan will put his relationship on the line for his career return to WWE. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. This is absolutely insane, and I cannot believe we're even having this conversation right now. What you're about to hear is going to shake you to your core and completely change how you view one of wrestling's most beloved power couples. We're talking about a marriage potentially being destroyed over corporate politics and backstage promises that should never have been made in the first place. Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, the man who conquered WWE and became AEW's most respected technical wrestler, is now facing the most difficult decision of his entire life. And it's not about championship gold, it's not about legacy matches, and it's not even about money. It's about choosing between his wife and his career, and the fact that he's being forced to make this choice is absolutely disgusting. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes that nobody wants to talk about. Brie Bella, former WWE superstar and one half of the legendary Bella twins, has issued her husband an ultimatum that's so shocking, so manipulative, and so selfish that it's making wrestling fans question everything they thought they knew about their relationship. Let me break down exactly how we got to this point, because the backstage politics involved here are more twisted than any wrestling storyline ever written. When Daniel Bryan made his shocking jump from WWE to AEW back in 2021, it wasn't just about him finding creative freedom or pursuing dream matches. There were family considerations, financial negotiations, and promises made that are only now coming to light. AEW executives, desperate to legitimize their women's division and add star power to their roster, made Brie Bella a promise that would change everything. They told her that if Daniel stayed loyal to AEW, if he didn't entertain any offers from WWE or other promotions, they would guarantee her a spot in their women's division whenever she was ready to return to active competition. Think about how manipulative that is. They're essentially using his wife as leverage to keep their biggest star from potentially jumping ship. They're holding her career hostage to ensure his loyalty, and that's exactly the kind of corporate manipulation that makes wrestling fans sick to their stomachs. But here's where it gets even more twisted. Recent reports suggest that WWE has been aggressively pursuing Daniel Bryan for a return, offering him creative control, main event status, and a contract that would make him one of the highest-paid wrestlers in the company. The kind of offer that any rational person would seriously consider. When Brie found out about WWE's interest in bringing her husband back, she didn't react like a supportive wife who wants what's best for her family. Instead, she issued an ultimatum that's so selfish and manipulative that it's hard to believe it's real. According to multiple sources close to the situation, Brie told Daniel in no uncertain terms that if he even considers leaving AEW, she will leave him. Not just temporarily, not just as a negotiating tactic, but permanently. She's threatening to take their children, file for divorce, and destroy their family over a wrestling contract. Let that sink in for a moment. A woman who claims to love her husband is threatening to destroy their marriage because she's more concerned about her own potential comeback than his happiness and career fulfillment. She's holding their children as pawns in a game of corporate chess, and it's absolutely sickening. The Bella twins have always been known for their ambition and their willingness to do whatever it takes to stay relevant in the wrestling world. But this crosses every line of decency and shows just how far Brie is willing to go to get what she wants, even if it means destroying her own family in the process. This situation exposes the ugly truth about relationships in the wrestling industry, and it's something that nobody wants to talk about. When both partners are involved in wrestling, either as active competitors or as personalities, the line between personal and professional becomes dangerously blurred. Brie Bella has been out of active competition for years now, but she's clearly desperate to reclaim her spot in the wrestling world. She's watching younger, more talented women dominate the division that she used to be a part of, and it's eating away at her. The promise from AEW represents her last chance to prove that she still matters, that she can still compete at the highest level. But instead of supporting her husband's career decisions and trusting that they can navigate this together as a team, she's chosen to make demands and issue ultimatums. She's putting her own selfish desires above the well-being of their family, and that's not love, that's manipulation. Daniel Bryan has spent his entire career being the good guy, the man who puts others before himself, who makes sacrifices for the greater good. But now he's being asked to sacrifice his own happiness and career prospects to satisfy his wife's ego and maintain her potential wrestling opportunities. Let's be brutally honest about AEW's women's division and why they're so desperate to keep Brie Bella as a potential signing. Despite all their claims about equality and giving women equal opportunities, AEW's women's division has been struggling to gain traction with mainstream audiences. They've signed some incredible talent like Mercedes Moné, formerly Sasha Banks, and Britt Baker has become a legitimate star, but they still lack the mainstream recognition and star power that could elevate their women's division to the next level. Brie Bella, despite not being the most technically gifted wrestler, brings name recognition and mainstream appeal that AEW desperately needs. The fact that they're using her potential return as leverage to keep her husband loyal shows just how important they consider her to their long-term plans. They're not just trying to keep Daniel Bryan, they're trying to secure a package deal that would give them both a main event star and a women's division headliner. But here's the problem with that strategy: it's built on manipulation and coercion rather than genuine desire to compete. When a wrestler returns to the ring because of backstage promises and political maneuvering rather than pure passion for the sport, the results are usually disappointing for everyone involved. Perhaps the most disgusting aspect of this entire situation is how it's affecting Daniel and Brie's children. These innocent kids are being used as pawns in their mother's power play, and they don't deserve to have their family torn apart over wrestling politics. Daniel Bryan has always been vocal about how much his family means to him, how becoming a father changed his perspective on life and wrestling. He's talked about wanting to be present for his children, wanting to create a stable home environment, and wanting to be the kind of father who puts family first. Now he's being forced to choose between his career aspirations and keeping his family together, and that's a choice that no parent should ever have to make. The fact that his wife is the one forcing this choice makes it even more heartbreaking. If Brie follows through on her threat, those children will grow up knowing that their mother destroyed their family over wrestling contracts and business opportunities. They'll know that their mother valued her potential comeback more than their stability and happiness. The wrestling community's reaction to this situation has been swift and overwhelmingly negative toward Brie Bella. Fans who once supported the Bella twins are now calling out Brie's behavior as manipulative and selfish. Social media is flooded with criticism of her ultimatum and support for Daniel Bryan. Many wrestling personalities have weighed in on the situation, with most expressing disgust at the way Brie is handling this. Former WWE superstars have shared their own stories about how difficult it can be to balance family and career in the wrestling industry, but they've also pointed out that healthy relationships require compromise and communication, not ultimatums and threats. The hashtag support Daniel Bryan has been trending on social media, with fans encouraging him to make the decision that's best for his career and happiness, regardless of his wife's threats. Many are pointing out that any woman who would threaten to destroy her family over a wrestling contract isn't someone worth staying married to. Let's talk about the financial aspects of this situation, because money is clearly a major factor in Brie's decision-making. Daniel Bryan's potential WWE contract would likely be worth significantly more than what he's currently making in AEW, and that additional income could provide better financial security for their family. But Brie seems more concerned about her own potential earning power than the family's overall financial well-being. She's gambling their current financial stability on the promise of a future AEW contract that may never materialize or may not be as lucrative as she hopes. The irony is that if Daniel took the WWE deal, he could potentially earn enough money to support the family while Brie pursues whatever wrestling opportunities she wants, whether that's with AEW, WWE, or any other promotion. But instead of seeing the bigger picture, she's fixated on the specific promise that AEW made to her. If Brie gets her way in this situation, it sets a dangerous precedent for how wrestling companies can manipulate their talent. Using family members as leverage to ensure loyalty is a tactic that could become more common if it's successful in this case. Imagine if other promotions started making promises to wrestlers' spouses, children, or other family members as a way to control their career decisions. It would turn the wrestling industry into an even more toxic environment where personal relationships are weaponized for business purposes. Wrestling companies should be competing for talent based on creative opportunities, financial compensation, and working conditions, not by holding family members hostage with promises and threats. There's also a massive double standard at play here that needs to be addressed. If Daniel Bryan were the one issuing ultimatums to his wife about her career decisions, he would be crucified in the media and by wrestling fans. He would be labeled as controlling, manipulative, and abusive. But because Brie is the one making the threats, some people are trying to defend her actions or minimize their impact. They're suggesting that she's just looking out for her own interests or that she has a right to pursue her career goals. The reality is that threatening to destroy your marriage and family over a wrestling contract is wrong regardless of which spouse is doing it. Gender doesn't excuse manipulative behavior, and Brie should be held accountable for her actions just like anyone else would be. Based on everything we know about this situation, it's hard to see how Daniel and Brie's marriage can survive this level of manipulation and conflict. Even if Daniel gives in to her demands and stays with AEW, the resentment and trust issues created by this ultimatum will likely poison their relationship. Marriage is supposed to be a partnership where both people support each other's dreams and work together to make decisions that benefit the family. What we're seeing here is one person using emotional manipulation and threats to control the other person's career, and that's not a healthy foundation for any relationship. If Daniel chooses his career over his marriage, he'll be branded as the villain by some people, but he'll also be showing his children that they shouldn't accept manipulative behavior from anyone, including family members. If he gives in to Brie's demands, he'll be teaching his children that it's okay to use threats and manipulation to get what you want. Wrestling promotions need to take a hard look at their role in this situation and implement policies that prevent family members from being used as leverage in contract negotiations. The fact that AEW executives thought it was appropriate to make promises to Brie Bella as a way to ensure Daniel Bryan's loyalty shows a fundamental lack of ethical boundaries. Companies should be negotiating directly with their talent, not involving family members in business decisions that could affect personal relationships. The wrestling industry has a responsibility to create an environment where wrestlers can make career decisions based on what's best for them professionally, not based on threats and manipulation from their own families. As we watch this situation unfold, Daniel Bryan is facing a choice that will define not just his career, but his entire legacy as a human being. He can either stand up to his wife's manipulation and make the decision that's best for his family's long-term happiness and financial security, or he can give in to her demands and spend the rest of his life wondering what could have been. The wrestling world is watching, and fans are hoping that Daniel Bryan will choose dignity over manipulation, career fulfillment over emotional blackmail, and his children's well-being over his wife's selfish ambitions. Whatever decision he makes, this situation has already exposed the ugly truth about how personal relationships can be corrupted by wrestling politics and corporate manipulation. It's a cautionary tale about what happens when love is conditional and when family members are willing to destroy everything for the sake of their own ambitions. This is WrestlingNewsCC, and we'll continue to follow this story as it develops. Let us know in the comments what you think Daniel Bryan should do, and whether you believe Brie Bella's ultimatum is justified or completely out of line. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more breaking wrestling news and analysis. If you thought tonight's story was wild, trust me, what happens next will blow your mind. So don't stop now. Click on the video right here on your screen to continue the chaos, the drama, and the inside scoop only we deliver. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and join the Wrestling News CC family, where the real stories of WWE come to life. See you in the next one.